Hi there, I'm Cheyenne.
And I'm Juan.
And we are
Down with the Dominguezes.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome back, everyone, to season 3 of Down with the Dominguezes. I'm Cheyenne, and I'm here with.
And I'm Juan Dominguez.
Nice to see you all, and nice for us to show our faces on camera and be heard on microphone. So if you pop over to the website, you can see our little video, our video show.
As my mom would say, a video.
A video. Yes, welcome everyone. Okay, so we're here with a little short story for you. If you've been a listener for a while, then you know that there tends to be a theme around something. Something always seems to happen when I go away, even for a very short period of time, which I rarely ever go away. And second of all, it's always for a short period of time. So this time I went away for a mere 72 hours.
It's usually 72 hours.
I try to make sure it's not longer than that.
Right. Usually something bad happens.
But almost always something is guaranteed to go wrong. I mean, if you go back and listen to earlier episodes, we've shared some of those stories, from a panic attack to a mountain biking accident.
I had it on my head. That was a pretty bad one.
Mountain biking crash to some other things have gone awry as well. And I thought for sure this time my husband had it all under control.
And I think one could say I did, except for one little situation, or what would you call it?
A situation. You were ejected from a youth baseball game.
Yes.
How does one get ejected from a game?
Well, let me take you back there.
Oh boy.
So first of all, I think we need to set the record straight that the umpire was not a teen or a young person. I think that makes a difference,
Right.
It was an adult.
It's like a professional.
Sure. I've never said anything bad or complained or yelled at a youth referee or umpire. Let's set the record straight.
Okay.
And I probably shouldn't have done it with this older gentleman, but we'll let the viewers decide.
So we're going to let the listeners and the viewers decide.
Yep.
If you were rightly or wrongly ejected from your first ever youth baseball game.
And I've been coaching a long time.
You've been coaching a while.
So my friends, Jimmy, Fran, and Chris would say, if you're not thrown out once a year, you're not trying hard enough.
You're not coaching hard enough?
That's the Jersey perspective. So, your way, it's the last day of your trip. It's Halloween.
It was Halloween morning.
So maybe there was something to do with the full moon.
The spirits.
The spirits.
The evil spirits.
The goblins. Who knows? Something, it's possible that something was in the air. So anyway, we moved the game from the afternoon to the morning so the kids could do their trick-or-treating. And we always have a chat with the umpire, me and the opposing manager, to kind of say, hey, they're 8 and 9-year-olds. Let's try to call a big strike zone so people aren't playing 1,000 walks, right? Kids swing the bat.
Absolutely.
All of that, right? So we thought we had all agreed to that.
Well, because if every pitch is a ball,
then it's
a track meet.
It's crochet and not baseball, right? So anyway, so we don't all agree to it, and right away the umpire's strike zone goes from the regular strike zone, which is armpits to knees and across the size of the plate, the width of the plate, to a socket about as big as a billiard ball or a tennis ball, for those that don't know what a billiard ball is.
So it had to be like an exact perfect pitch.
If it wasn't in this little socket, little tennis ball, the size of a tennis ball, it wasn't a strike.
Okay.
And so anyway, a lot of walks, but our youngest was pitching, and he's usually pretty good. It usually lasts 3 innings, and it's the top of the 3rd inning. And already he's like saying, Dad, I can't pitch anymore. I'm like, what's the problem? I go, how many pitches is he? He had 62 pitches in 2 innings. The kid's arm was falling off. He's 9.
Oh boy.
So anyway, brought in another pitcher. Same thing happened. Brought in a 3rd pitcher, and just walk and walk and walk. And all of a sudden, some of the other parents had been chirping at the umpire. The opposing manager in between innings had walked by and said, "Ump, are you going to call any strikes?" My assistant coaches, God bless them, Jim and Ray, they were chirping down the first base line a little bit, and the umpire kind of had a hard stare over at them. And so finally, by
So
the
the
time
umpire's getting little rubbed, worn down from a variety of sources at this point.
I like to think I was a straw that broke the camel's back in this particular case. So anyway, you judge for yourself.
Okay.
We'll have folks maybe contact us after.
We'll do a poll.
We'll do a poll. So anyway, finally, our third pitcher, to get out of an inning, he throws the ball basically right tangential to that tennis ball, like small strike zone area. I mean, it was right there. And he said ball 4, and that was the 5th run of the inning. And so now we're losing 6-5, and it got quiet when he walked the last person. And I said, "Ump, that's a strike all day, every day." And he looked at me, no, took his mask and face protector off and said, "Are you done?" I said, "Yeah, I'm done." And he goes, "You're out of here." Just like that.
Oh boy. First time for everything.
First time for everything. So now I'm going to get my money's worth, right? If I'm tossed. So it got quiet again, and I said something to the effect of, "Congratulations, that's the first bold call you've made all day." And some of the parents are laughing now. And I start taking the walk.
So now you started a coup.
Well, we're not done. So I start taking the walk of shame,
Oh, boy.
because in our league, if you get thrown out, you can't sit in the bleachers.
You have to leave the field.
You got to leave the field. You got to leave the
Okay.
cozy
Fair enough.
confines of the field. So I start doing the walk of shame, but the ump, I guess he figures he's going to get the last word.
Oh.
Big mistake with the Dominguez. And he says something like, "I've got my own strike zone. I've got my own strike zone." And I said to him,
from afar.
No, starting to get from afar. I might have yelled. I said, "Your strike zone is teaching these kids nothing. It's teaching them how to keep their bat on their shoulder and wait for a walk." That's what I was trying to get across. As now I was walking past the parents on the other side, and they were looking at me like, "This guy's a madman." They were looking away like, "What's this guy going to do next?" Okay. So I took the walk of shame.
Okay.
A field away.
Yes.
And I had dressed for the weather to be the manager.
It was a cold, windy day.
Cold, windy day. The winds were blowing.
And you didn't have a coat.
I didn't have a coat. I left without my cell phone, without my coat. I mean, like I'm in Siberia, 2 fields over by the batting cages. And
you did not bring your binoculars.
I did not bring my binoculars. And now I'm not like into the game. I'm out there on my own, and it started
in
getting
the
cold.
elements.
It's in the elements. It started getting cold. I had to start pacing back and forth.
Keep your body warm.
Keep my teeth from chattering. Yeah, it was
okay.
cold.
But you were watching the game from afar.
Watching the game, and it was like Miracle on Ice.
And suddenly the game takes a turn.
Suddenly the game takes a turn. A couple of the kids hadn't really realized what had happened, and they go, "What happened to Coach Juan?" And my assistant coach was like, "Well, he got thrown out of the game." And they're like, "Why?" He was like, "He was standing up for you guys because the ump wasn't calling any strikes when you were pitching." And they basically said something like, "We're going to win this for Coach Juan." And we have never had a inning where we batted around the order. Okay. But we did, because in the last inning of our league, it's unlimited runs, the 5-run per inning rule.
And you have almost 2 teams worth of players, so that's a lot.
We have 16 players on our team. 15 were there that day. 1 was away on a trip. 15 kids. Yeah. So when batting around the order, wasn't 9 kids hit? They all hit, all 15.
Oh boy.
We scored 11 runs in that last inning. It was like the Bugs Bunny conga line, and they were hitting, right? Because now the ump's calling strikes and we're swinging the bat, and there were blasts out to the outfield. It was so cool. So I ended up winning 16-6. I take the walk of shame back because now the game's over and I'm allowed back on the field. And we had our, final game kind of chat with the kids afterwards. And you know what they did?
What did they do?
Did
they lift you in the air? And
they can't lift me in the air.
They can't lift you in the air.
Before I gave the post-game talk, one of our assistant coaches, Coach Kevin, said, "Coach, before you say anything, the boys wanted to let you know that they and we voted that you get the game ball today for standing up for us with the umpire."
Very nice.
It was nice. And so I'm hoping that helps me in the poll. Kids did think I did the right thing. Anyway,
very interesting. Yes. And so, it's funny because when you picked me up at the train station, You were very, you were kind of quiet. You were like, "Oh, how was your trip?" And I told you, and you're like, "Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I'd say I was
mm-hmm."
inquisitive. I was wanting to
You were
know.
you were m-
I was over
more
interested
interested
in
than
your trip.
usual
More interested than a guy would be about his wife's
about
girls'
the
weekend.
about the exhibits I
The
went to, the
museums.
museums I went to. You were very
What was
interested.
the
I was like,
COVID
"Oh, this is
protocol in
you
New
really
York?
missed me."
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like really interested in
Well,
the exhibits. And then once I finished telling you about the exhibits, you're like, "Well, got something to tell
I have
you."
something to tell you, and I think the only reason I told Cheyenne was because my youngest, after the game, I said, "You're not going to tell mom that I got thrown out of the game,
This is
right?"
the one and only game I've missed all season, by the way,
Yes, you're the best team manager in
that
Maryland,
that
and you were not
got
there.
thrown out of.
So I said, "Yeah, I got to tell mom that I got thrown out of the game, right?" He goes, "Dad, that's the first thing I'm going to tell
He
him."
can't keep a secret from me.
He's a mom's boy. Anyway, so yes, of course, I said, "Oh, and by the way, I got thrown out of the game." And you were like,
I was
"What?"
like, "What?" And then I got the whole story. So we want to know, what do you think? Thumbs up or thumbs down that Mr. Juan, Coach Juan, got thrown out of his first ever youth baseball
Yeah, did I do
game?
the right thing or did I do the wrong
Right
thing?
thing or wrong thing? Thumbs up, thumbs
I
down.
will say one
Okay.
last thing, and not to
In
try to
defense,
not.
the defense may have the last
That's
word.
right, not to try to bias the poll here. I
Boy.
will say that I always try to, give the kids a message after a game, and in this particular,
You spend it to your advantage.
maybe in this particular game,
Spun it.
I spun it the following way. I said, "Hey, I want to talk about two life lessons. It really wasn't about baseball." I said, "Number one, if you're passionate about something that you believe in, like I believe in you, you can't be afraid to stand up for them." So I don't know if
Okay.
I thought of
Fair
that
enough.
in the heat of the moment, but I certainly thought about that after, right? Like, why did I do what I did?
Hmm.
And the second thing was, and I think this was much more pertinent because we teach our kids to swing the bat and not wait for walks. I said, "You know what? Don't go through life with the bat on your shoulder," right? That was the analogy, like the other team was doing, waiting for walks, waiting for walks. Take your
Hmm.
risks, take your shots, take your swings, and good things usually happen. And, I think the final score kind of showed that. We were swinging, they weren't, and we crushed them.
All right. Does the defense rest
The
its case?
defense in this Juan Dominguez case rests.
All right. We want to hear from you. Thumbs up or thumbs down. All right. And if you've got a story, if you've been ever been thrown out of a youth sports game, leave us a message. We want to hear from you. Bye for now.
Bye.